So we'll start today our second series of the chai. You may have noticed our previous series last year was focused mostly on people from the University of Louisville as speakers and guests. However, this time our series will focus on applying AI outside of the university with guests that are we're very glad to have them. And we couldn't find any better than to start today with Gauri. And Gauri Bhalerao, you probably have looked at her credentials. I just tell you that she has experience from GE appliances, YAM, and I don't know what else. So she has a great experience. And now she is Goodwill Industries are lucky to have her as their vice president CIO, and she was very kind to agree to come on a relatively short notice. And I let her maybe first, before we do, if you notice our kind of approach here is a chat, we don't have a prepared presentation, or even she doesn't know what I'll ask her. I don't know what she'll say.
Yes, that's very true.
No, but that's the main thing, is an open kind of discussion, and it's very kind of important that we all collectively as humans and citizens and techies to know that talking about things together enhances everyone.
That's the best way to do it.
Yes, and we don't have to have a scripted event. So, Gauri, please share with us a little more things about you first, and what got you into the AI and computer on the first place. Then we go to your job.
Okay, sounds good. So one thing Dr. El-Maghrabi forgot to mention was I was one of his students when I went to speed school. So, as you guys have noticed, I come from India. I did my undergrad in India, and frankly, the way I got into computers, right? So at that time, my major was physics, chemistry, and maths, and there were no jobs other than teaching. And I was like, okay, for that I had to get into PhD, and there was this computer thing that was emerging. In our college, there wasn't a single computer at that time. So I moved cities. So I'm from a small city in India called Nagpur, and I was trying to figure out what next, right? So I moved to Pune, which was more of a technology as well as educational hub. So I moved there, and I started looking at what next, right? And what is available, and that's when I got into computers, because at that time, just like AI is now, that was the in thing, that everybody was talking about computers. So I got into it, and the rest is history, right? So I went to school, I did my master's in India in computer applications, which was a little bit different. And then I was interning at Tata Technologies, which is like especially in the division where they manufactured trucks. So that's where my first application around with computers and interaction was as I was going to school. And from there, I moved into consulting for a little bit, moved to Mumbai before coming here, because the next big thing at that time was US, right? From computers perspective, I met my husband, we came here, and I started going to speed school. That was the first thing I did, because that's what I always wanted to do. And that's where I met Dr. El-Maghrabi, and I started learning simulation, right? When we talk about AI, that's kind of the start, right? Doing all of the OpenGL stuff and simulation. And so AI has been around for a long time, I guess, right? Is what we can say. We have all, I don't know, some of you might have seen Star Trek. Right. I'm dating myself. Some of you might not know that. The second generation is here, but we started out with Star Trek. So humanoids were there too at that point of time, right? Where we had Star Wars, R2-D2, so robots and AI has been around. At least people have talked about it, right? So fast forward, I finished my master's, and I worked at Humana for a little bit.
Oh,
in their
I missed that
mainframe.
part.
Yeah, no, I was there for a very small, short time, and I was on the mainframe team, and that's when the whole web revolution, internet revolution was going on. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to work in mainframes. I want to move
You
to.
didn't care for COBOL?
Yeah, I didn't. Not the identification division, right? So moving from COBOL, I went into web and I started working for a small internet startup who had approached me at that time when I was working at Humana, and that was really how it all started, right? Internet, web development, they were ahead of their time at that point of time. So right around 9/11, that company went bust. And actually it was a B2B marketplace for construction equipment. So it was all about construction companies, and at that time, they didn't have even internet, right? So we were way far ahead of time, especially in Louisville. So when that went under, I joined GE, and I was there for around 12 years. And I started working, when I left, I was working for their smart appliances division, all about data and working on the smart appliances when Yum approached me, and then I moved there as supporting their KFC division. And that's been my journey until 2023 when Goodwill approached me around joining as their VP. So I think nonprofit organizations and any organization as a whole, right, given where we are right now, technology needs to be integrated in every single thing that we do. And I think they were a little bit behind, and that's what they realized. When you talk about Goodwill, I don't know how many of you know what Goodwill is about. Have you guys been to Goodwill stores?
I think Gauri shared this
Yeah, so I
document
have.
on Goodwill, so anyone can.
We can donate something.
No,
so there's
there is
more to it.
beyond that, and that's why I wanted to now share what, for example, her role in Goodwill or what Goodwill is, because when we think nonprofits, we immediately think about the goal, but the goal doesn't happen without many things in the background and a lot of work to make this happen. So please share.
Absolutely. So when Goodwill approached me, even I didn't know anything about Goodwill, right? I'm like, oh, I'm not going to join a nonprofit. Everybody thinks you join nonprofit after you have retired, right? And that's what I had in my mind. But I'm like, you know what? It'll be interesting to talk to them about it, as to what they are looking for, because this was a CIO position. I'm like, VP of IT CIO position. So when I talked to them, it was eye-opener for me, because all I knew was the donation part, right? I always drop things off, but what happened after that, I had no idea. I had never gone to their retail store, because Goodwill is very different. We are a revenue generating nonprofit, right? And 99 cents of every dollar goes back into the community, which I did not know. How many of you knew about it? Goodwill's mission? Some of you, right? So that's where AI comes into, right? Especially how do we make use of technology? So digital transformation is what they brought me in to do, right? And really we started out, they had some technology, but there were no processes, the team was very small, they were being very reactive, right? So that's where we started looking at, I came up with a 2 to 3 year strategy. Well, that got appended because how fast AI has been moving, right? So these days you can create a 3-year strategy. When I was at GE, we were creating 5-year strategies and we were following it, right? Now I think every 6 months things are changing, or every 2-3 months, right? So we need to pivot, we need to be fast, and we need to be aware of what's going on, especially in this AI space, right? And for us, it's very important because of the mission part of it, right? Because everything, so our funding comes from not just the retail stores, right? So all of you guys probably donate to Goodwill. So we sell those goods. It could be anything, right? So when we talk about manufacturing, there are certain products that any manufacturing industry will produce that they will sell. But when it comes to Goodwill, we have thousands and thousands of SKUs, right? Because we will sell anything that people donate. We have sold computers, there are floppy disks, we have sports related stuff, everything. So that's one of our biggest thing is the retail stores, and then we get grants from federal and state government because we are in the business of providing jobs. We are the second chance employers, right? So all these clients, most of them have some kind of barriers, right? Some of them might have substance abuse issues, you name it, and we have seen it all, right? There are so many different kinds of problems that I've seen, which is very heartwarming. A lot of times what happens is you might not know substance abuse, for example, which is a pretty big issue in Kentucky. That could start with a simple, after a surgery for some people who started taking medicines and they got hooked onto it, right? And things like that. And then people can get into bad company and people can go to jail for certain things. And one thing I realized, and Goodwill has a huge program around expungement, where if you have minor offenses, they can work with the legal teams to expunge those records, right? So these are some of the things that we do. So we get the federal and state government grants to help people, help our Kentuckians move out of poverty, to give them a second chance and give them careers, right? Not just jobs. So there are multiple programs. So I didn't realize how complex Goodwill was until I joined. And when you talk about Goodwill, it's not just in Kentucky, right? It's a global organization. When I say global, we are in Canada, South Korea, and we are expanding slowly. But here in US, we have Goodwill International, which is like a umbrella organization, and it's like a franchisee model, right? So Goodwill Kentucky is part of that organization, and we have around 70 stores. So when you talk about 70 stores, and we employ people who are coming from, who are our clients, right? So people come to us with their problems. So we have opportunity campuses where we intake people, where they'll come to look for jobs or to get any kind of issue, right? Because before they can find a job, they have to get over a lot of barriers, right? So we help them with their barriers. We work with partners, simple things like social security number, they can't have it a lot of times, right? The small things that we don't even think about, right? For example, if you're making, when people are hourly workers, they're making whatever, right? Very minimum wage. And even if they are making 500 a month, that's not enough, right? For people to survive. So, and having careers, so we have people who have come to us as one of our clients, if we have seen them have stable jobs, stable housing. Nobody wants to give you or rent to you or provide you with any housing until you have social security, or you shouldn't have a record. So all of these barriers, right, we help them get over it. And now comes AI, right? So when we talk about AI, how do we make AI accessible to these clients? How can we do a better job? Because even though we are a revenue generating organization, we need to innovate because we don't have enough resources, right? That's always the case, right? Whether it's a corporate or a nonprofit, we are always strapped on resources. So for us, especially since we are in the business of providing jobs, AI is never going to take away jobs, right? Because we have to help people understand what AI is, how can it be used, and help us. So be the helper for humans, right? That's the key things. We are not going to look at we are into workforce development, right? So how do we help them, train them, which is something that we are doing.
So yeah, you have a training centers.
We do. So we have training centers.
So you have training centers, you have employment. You don't recruit, they come to you typically. You don't have to recruit the employees, do you?
We don't, but there are times when we see things, we kind of ask people to come and join us, right? For example, we have a program which is another way program. So if you see homeless people on the side of the road, a lot of times we have that van that goes and say, hey, do you want help, right? So we pick them up, and if they say yes, they're like, hey, do you want to earn money? So we will go to them, and we partner with different organizations like GE or Churchill Downs, Kentucky Fair and Expo. So we start with them, hey, you can get a job. If you come with me, you can earn money so that you can buy food, right? A lot of the basic necessities.
Okay. How do you then apply AI in analysis of your services? Do you analyze your services, or do you you have 70 stores, you said. So how about also analysis of your sales and your intake, and mapping them to future and planning, maybe moving things around from one store to another based on what customers here need versus there? Are you using or in anticipating using AI in inventory and store management and sales, and also in the other area, which is the workforce training? Are you developing things in these two areas?
All the areas, that is the key, right? Because I can't move fast enough right now. So training is one thing, but we are applying, for example, you talk about career services, right? Our mission space. So we use Salesforce, and we are using Agent Force to help our career coaches who work with the clients to give them access to the agent's account, because a lot of time it takes a long time for people to get to the details. Then we are working on actually 3 different agents within Salesforce, along with, for example, helping the career coaches with a job seeking agent. For example, upload the resume and for a client's resume. So we get clients who come from different walks of life. For example, somebody might be looking for a job as a plumber, or they don't know what they're looking for, right? So there are 2 big areas that I'm focusing on right now. One is this job coordinator agent, right? Where knowing the skills, you can match them up with different employers that are in our database. Other one is job seeking. So if you upload the resume based on your qualifications and what you want to do, what kind of job you're looking for, then giving them like a job search engine, right? Giving them options that, hey, these are the organizations that are hiring, this is the vicinity, and this is how you need to prepare.
So you're using AI that's built in Salesforce for them?
To certain extent, not for the job seeking,
Okay.
but for that I'm using Copilot, because that's more going to internet and looking for different websites and stuff.
Okay.
And it's doing fantastic. So yesterday I wrote vibe coding right now is a buzzword, right? So, and I wrote like a 2-page prompt for it to go and build an agent yesterday. So right now, that is part of our strategy. And the reason it's very important is for us to use AI is because we don't have resources, right? So how do you make most out of our resources? How do you upskill them? Right now, that's what I'm focused on, upskilling all of our organizations. We have so many manual processes, especially when you talk about application of AI and machine learning in finance and robotic RPA, right?
Yeah.
Robotic process automation. That's a big, huge
Yes.
huge use case that we
Yes.
are working on right now. We are partnering with Microsoft and some of their vendors to kind of go through the process of identifying those workflows, and then we are implementing Microsoft Fabric so that we can build a data lake to pull all of this data, because we implemented, talking about retail side, right? We talked about mission. Let's go into the sales and the retail side and the production side. So we implemented new POS solution last year. We didn't have a true POS solution. So we had a little bit of data, but not true data around SKUs and productions and taggers, because
your SKUs are so diverse.
Yes.
Because I've been to Goodwill stores. I mean, because you get things from all different people, all different stores in the world originally. So, that's a good thing. Do you have like an AI that clusters them or groups them into
that's
families?
what we were trying to do, right? And that's what we are trying to do. So one of the key things is if you have noticed how the pricing is, right?
Yeah.
It's a
cluster, a group.
it's a cluster.
Yes.
And especially for textiles, right?
Yeah.
The clothes, because that's our biggest
Yeah.
seller. But some of these other things like purses and stuff, those are not clusters. They are individual because based on the brand,
Yeah.
you can, or the quality. So somebody has to look at those textiles or the wares, whichever, right? And then based on that, they need to price it. And it's an art, not a science, because as you said, we had very specific pricing. And if you change that, people don't like it. But
Price
it's-
sensitivity is
Yes,
another.
price sensitivity is huge thing. So we actually started looking at, people don't know what the brands are, for example, right? If I'm
Yeah.
looking at a Louis Vuitton versus a Coach bag, the pricing is different, right? So you can still get it cheaper, but at the same time, you want to price it right, and what is the right price, right? So that's always tricky because a lot of our people, the clients, who come into Goodwill, they are offered job. We are the first job they'll get, right? And they don't know what these brands are.
Yeah,
They
sure.
don't know how to price. So we work with them. We have some guides where they learn about pricing, but it can be tricky. So we started working towards using AI to do it.
Like Google Lens.
Yes, Google. So they are using Google Lens, which is
Actually,
fascinating.
today we were looking at an old piece of equipment, and I said, let's look at Google Lens, see what it is. And it really worked.
So they use Google Lens, they use eBay to look at the pricing and then figure out, okay, price it right? So you need to make sure it falls into the bucket. So that's where we try to use AI to create a retail dynamic pricing
But you
app.
need to train them to, yes.
But what we realized was, I did a POC for a few months, and then what we realized was it's not very optimal to use it because it takes too long. We have to move faster. So if you're looking at a shirt, for example, so you have to identify what the tag is, and sometimes it's not easy to locate, and then you use the Google Lens to identify the brand, and it's a tedious process, so it's not very useful. So I stopped at POC. Some of the things with AI, right? Not the key is experimentation, where there are some of the things that are going to work, some of it is not going to work. Conceptually, a lot of times it's great, right? It's fascinating, but the actual use, the practical use of it probably doesn't work, right? For example, we have objects that are small, we can't really use AI to kind of price it, or Google. And so I did quite a few POCs like that last year. So last year was more
POC, so
proof of concept.
yeah, thank you. The audience maybe doesn't know all of these.
Yeah.
I'm the
Okay.
lingo
You're
police, so you
sorry.
use SKU and POS and POC. So SKU are your product.
Products,
Yeah,
yes.
and
So product numbers, for example, so each product will have a number,
SKU.
so that's a SKU, product SKU, and then
POS is point of sale.
POS is point of sale, which is used to ring in your sale, and then POC is proof of concept, or is there another way that you guys do?
No, that's right.
And for those who don't know, Dr. Andrew Wright is our linguist. When he was our undergraduate, and when he applied to do the PhD, he had the highest English score we have seen out of an engineer.
Oh gosh, then you shouldn't see my writing.
So,
And that's where I use AI the most, where I can
so
write
he's
it.
always been our linguist, and he's one of the organizer here with College of Business, and Dr. Sharon Kerrick, who is not here today, with the College of She's online with us. The Digital Transformation Center. So between the Hive, the College of Business, and Digital Transformation Center, this is how this series is happening.
Oh,
So I just want to make sure that people
No, I'm
realize.
interrupting.
No, but that's important for us to know. Things don't happen alone. You know, we cannot create everything without the community, people like Gauri willing to come and chat with us and share her experience, and without the support of colleagues from other parts of the university, because it's it's a mission that we are part of the university, but part of the community at large. So it's very important for us. The AI is not only the science of the AI, is how the AI affects our society, affects our workforce, affects our less privileged people, and like we heard from so far about Goodwill mission, and it's important to bring these things together. And that's why I'm so happy when you're telling about how you're training the employees and making them capable and improving their skills, because that's, we all need to rise.
Absolutely. So one of the areas that we are focusing on right now, right, not just our employees who are part of the Goodwill organization who were once our clients, but our clients, how can we make sure that they are able to use this technology, right? That's where, so if you come to Goodwill centers, we provide desktops or for them to access, to have access to.
Just community
Right,
available
two
for the
things.
community to access.
So we are adding a link there where they can go, and so AI can be used for small things, right? Creating a grocery list, right? And for things like, there are little things that we don't even realize, and those are some of the prompts that we have generated, that how can you use AI for your day-to-day life. And for these people, that is simple, right? But it's a game changer. If you give them the prompt that, hey, if you're trying to help a lot of them have kids, they bring their kids along. How do you help your kids with their homework, right? And since they don't have access to technology, they come to our opportunity centers and use our laptops and stuff that we provide there. Like, for example, in the opportunity campus in West Louisville, which is very close to here on East Broadway, we have around 15 or so laptops. We give people training on not just technology, but now we have Google Essentials learning courses. So we partner with different organizations like Google and Microsoft, and they provide us an open AI. So last year I attended a session with Microsoft, OpenAI, and Google, and they are providing resources to people, so free resources, right? And then we are able to help our clients access those free resources. These are some of the things that we don't realize how critical they
This is
are.
very important here to understand. You use the word clients a lot,
Yes.
and I'm trying to understand who are
Who
your
the
clients?
So the clients are anybody who walks in who needs help, right? So for us, a client is if they need our service, that's our client, right? Our customers, when we talk about customers, they are the ones who will come and buy things from our stores. So those are the customers, but the clients are who are in need of our service. So we provide them training. We have classes that we conduct based on, people might be at different levels from technology perspective or just life skills, right? They don't have life skills a lot of times. There are programs that we don't realize before they get into that. Some of them, especially if they had substance abuse, they might have issues with their teeth and they can't get a job because they don't feel good or they are not very presentable, and people don't have clothes. So those are some of the barriers that we identify, and we are using AI now, or we are training agents and to identify those barriers and what are some of the things, where can they help, and then making sure that we find the right partners. A lot of times they don't have transportation. So how do you identify, if you are in the rural part, what is the transportation that is available, right? Because they don't have public transports. Even if they have public transport, they might not have money. So using AI to identify those barriers and figuring out how can they overcome those barriers. So those are some of the real life use cases, right? When we talk about AI, how can we use AI for good, right? It's not just about making money for the corporates, but for the humanity, right? That's what Goodwill is focused on.
For Goodwill Kentucky, you said you have opportunity centers, you have stores. How spread are these You mentioned at one moment 70. So are these, the centers and the stores are co-located, and how spread in Kentucky? I think it's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question, Dr. Maghrabi, because we have 70 stores. They are spread across Kentucky, right? So we have, in some, if you go to eastern part of Kentucky, we have stores and opportunity campuses. So stores, we have around, I should say, 69 or so
Okay.
stores. We are opening new stores in areas where we are not covering yet. We have, most of the stores are located in Louisville and Lexington. Bigger cities, we have more stores, but we have like areas like Somerset, Kentucky, Berea, Kentucky, or Bowling Green. So we have stores over there too. And it just depends. Opportunity campuses might be co-located with a store depending on the area. But for example, in Louisville, if you go to West Broadway Opportunity Campus, they don't have a store there.
Okay.
It's a standalone. And along with opportunity campuses, which we use for, West Broadway Opportunity Campus is a little bit different, because one of the things that we realized was when people have all these barriers, for example, they need to get help from legal, they need to get some dental work done, or they need to go to Kentuckiana Works to look for jobs and stuff. They don't have transportation. So in West Broadway Opportunity Campuses, we have brought all of these different partners together, so they don't have to go to different locations. So they are all there, and they can get all of their work done just by in one visit sometimes, right? They don't have to, it doesn't have to be 10 days, because they have to take off from work if they are working to be part of this. So those are some of the barriers that we are helping with, and it's across Kentucky. So you can be in rural areas. That's one of the areas that I'm looking at. How can we have a chat bot available on our website so that areas where people don't have access to Opportunity Campus, or they are not able to go, they can access that chat bot.
Okay.
But how to train them to use the chat bot
Is another
is
thing.
another thing, right? So these are little things
Yeah.
that we are helping our clients overcome, right? The barriers that they have.
Actually, interesting you mentioned that. In one of the airports, I saw a very interesting thing. They just have a touch screen, and a help person appears to you remotely in a video conference and gives you the support. And I thought was one of the most friendly support. I forgot which airport that was. So they have staff that are just support staff and just video, and it's very simple. Doesn't need to learn. All you need is push the button, and it rings like a video call, and
Human.
yeah, and it's human.
Yeah, it's human, but we
But
need.
obviously, it needs a human, which is a challenge. But it was one of the friendliest support I've seen. And actually, ironically, someone asked me to develop something like that way back, but they didn't have the funding to do it. But because you have all this spread, and you mentioned challenges with point of service still and SKUs, are you collecting the data? Because
Yes.
the AI is obviously the current AI cycle we live in is
So
data driven. So how are you handling the data? You mentioned the challenge of the categorizing the things. So how are you collecting the data?
So retail. So now that we have the point of sale systems and a production system, where earlier we didn't have barcodes.
Okay.
We had just like labels.
Okay.
We used to say, okay, this shirt is $2.99, this shirt is $10.99. But now we are able to tag it.
Okay.
And that tag, so now we have data, right? We implemented POS system. So now we have data, and we are using that data to understand the pricing, what makes sense, what is selling more,
Yes.
in what areas. For example, last few days we had snow, so we had to shut down our stores, right? So it doesn't generate revenue. And when we don't generate revenue, that means we are not able to help people, because there is a direct correlation, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where we are now using AI. So I hired a data scientist last year to kind of start building some of these models, and we are looking at predictive modeling now, that we have more than 1 year's worth of data, which is very detailed. But we have sales data,
Yeah.
which we have since 2005.
But yeah, you can correlate
Yes, so
the
now we are
detail with
using.
the aggregate. You can learn from both.
So what we are looking at now is, which is where AI comes in, right? What is selling in what areas, right?
Sure.
When you go to, for example, St. Matthews or North, that area, there are certain things that sell more.
Are they the more
versus-
expensive things? Are the
Yes,
No, no,
that too. Depending on the
store stocking
demographic.
is a big science.
It is, because depending on the area, for example, in Middletown, we have realized over the past 4 years, our donations have increased as well as our sales. So what was the reason? And was it something that we were doing? Because we have been trying few different things. But since I live in that area, I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of new houses being built. So people are moving in that area, and that
you can-
accessibility. So that correlation,
You
right?
can
So
correlate it with census data too.
that's what we are doing
Yeah,
right
okay.
now, pulling the
no,
census data.
That's AI. Yeah, that's where the AI would be
Exactly.
wonderful to correlate it with census data in the donation and census data related to the sales,
Sales.
both sides.
So, and some of the stuff, right, the items that they might be selling in one store,
But donated
But-
in another.
yes, so moving it to another store because they need it. They might not have it. So we don't have inventory right now,
Yeah.
because we just started tagging, and we don't have SKUs. So, but we are going to start tracking at least some of the big ticket items so
So
that
you're
we can move it.
changing the process itself.
Yes.
So
So-
process redesign, I think that's part of your digital transformation.
Absolutely. So just transforming how we do things, how we use technology for identifying optimal route for transportation.
That's
Right.
another.
That's a big one, because we have vans that transport, or trucks that transport the goods.
Just
right?
curiosity, do you have a processing center centralized or you process on premise?
So
Because that's an
Kentucky
issue that
process-
AI
yes.
can help you decide in a way.
So some of the Goodwills across country, they have centralized processing, some don't. So we don't have centralized processing. We are processing it at each store. But we do have attended donation centers, which doesn't have a store associated with
Ah.
it, or an opportunity campus. This is just for donation. So that is where, so those donations are then sent to different
So in
stores.
a sense, you have to differentiate between a donation location, a sales location, and an opportunity campus.
Yes.
They could collocate one or two or three of them, but
So,
they
yes.
don't have to be all in one. So you have to differentiate the analysis
Yes.
for all three. That's a very
And that's where predictive modeling or for example, where should our next store be,
yes.
right? That is another area.
Follow
That's where
McDonald's,
we are.
they tell you.
That's where we are using AI.
No, everybody says to find where to put a store, look at McDonald's. They do the best
There you
analysis
go.
for store location.
I will tell that to our CEO.
Yeah. They really are very good in
Very
predicting
precise.
where the next store should be.
Yeah. No, and actually that's funny you said that, because a lot of our stores are, now that I'm thinking, they are closer
Near
to McDonald's.
But I've learned that long ago.
Because I think the strategic placement of stores based on the area, right? And for us, it's critical because a lot of these McDonald's they're providing food for cheap for people from different stratas
Yeah.
of society, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it makes sense, because we opened the West Broadway Opportunity Campus. There was a reason. It was very strategic moves, because that's where the needs are most. That's
Yes.
where people have a lot of barriers, right? So it makes sense it has to be accessible so that people can just walk.
On the trunk
So-
line.
No, that's-
Yes.
Yeah, that's all very interesting and challenging. So, do you envision with all these big initiatives. So, how do you envision growth, or what is your view of AI impact on the organization? Is it, how will you measure it? In terms of revenue, in terms of customer size growing, in terms of the other is customers and the others are clients growing, or in terms of
All the above.
training. Because you have so many dimensions to measure the impact of implementing new AI initiatives, and they may collectively work together or be niche for a particular area.
So
How will you measure it? How will you tell the board I succeeded?
ROI, right? So we
Yeah.
do have to measure everything, and especially it's true in nonprofits because we don't have as many resources, right? When I say resources, it's also cash, right? Not just human, like resources to do work, but also budget. So I have to be very, lot of times ROI driven, right? And it's a lot of times it's productivity as well as effectiveness. So we have started measuring all of those because there are areas, for example, in our career services area, the mission, it doesn't generate revenue, right? But it's the impact that it has on the number of hours saved by a career coach when they are helping clients, right? So there are two areas, right? One is quality of work. When you do manual work, you make mistakes. We are all humans, right? So how do you reduce that? The time it takes to do something, right? That's where the process comes in. So when I was at GE, I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, so process automation is something that I always think about. Simple things like how do you, when you're inputting data for your client, right? Because we have to make sure that we know how to contact them, who they are, and so for future references, what their skills are. So when we see people inputting that data, it's not very clean. People make mistakes. So data quality is the key, because if there are duplicate records, it doesn't help. So that's where I'm again using AI to make sure that the data cleansing and data governance.
Yeah.
So you can't just implement AI. We have seen usages of AI, for example, ChatGPT or whatever, right, where it can help you with your building your resume or building or helping you answer some questions. But the true usage, especially as you get into machine learning and hardening of your agents and stuff, that's where data comes into place, right? That's where data governance comes into play, which is what I'm trying to implement right now, implementing a lake house, which we didn't have until now. So we are partnering with Microsoft to implement Microsoft Fabric to build the lake house, bring all of this data so that we can start implementing dashboards. We're using Power BI for dashboarding and for reporting, and for that I need to upskill the team. And then data governance, right? Not just quality of data, but access, because we have PII information, which is personally identifiable information. So we need to be careful as to who has access to it, because some of these people, I mean, our clients who are now our employees, they don't know what that is. They want to be helpful. They are the nicest people and they want to be helpful, but they can share, oh, you know what? Oh yeah, this is my social security number. If somebody asks them, so to talk to them about cybersecurity, right? What is cybersecurity? Why is it important? So we provide training to people. Why can't you just, I mean, especially in this day of
Your transition
AI.
to my next question is the cybersecurity, because
Yes.
Chai is cybersecurity, high tech, and AI.
Yes.
So you transition to the cyber, which was my next question, because sure, once you put the data and you put the AI, the next question, how do you protect this?
Protected. So right now, all the agents that I'm building in Copilot, for example, I need to make sure that they have Entra ID. We know that who is accessing these agents, right? People who are not authorized shouldn't be accessing, because especially in Salesforce, for example, when they're using that data, they might get access to all the accounts. And if you ask a questions in the chat, it shouldn't access data. It should prevent people from accessing
We were just talking about this.
sensitive data.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm glad you're in this. How big is your IT team? It looks like you have a huge team.
So we have help, right? So my IT team is the full-time employees is small. We have especially around we have around 15 people, but we have managed service providers, and we have a lot of vendors that who help us. For example, we have contractors on the Salesforce side. We have managed service providers who is in charge of all of our security and also our infrastructure.
Your
So that's
infrastructure is on-prem or is it in the cloud?
It's in the cloud.
Okay.
So that's where it was important to make sure that we safeguard our assets, right? So move them to cloud so that people are able to, we have implemented
Right.
software-defined network, and we have different vendors who help us, right? So depending on the demand.
So you're probably Azure.
We are in Azure, yes.
Yeah,
We are a
because you're
Microsoft shop.
Microsoft, obviously.
When I joined, I did look at Google. We partnered with them a little bit, but so a lot of organizations.
Goodwill is a Microsoft shop in general.
Yes, but here is the thing: Microsoft is doing a lot for non-profit organizations. I think Google and all the other big tech companies are slowly getting into it, but Microsoft was a little bit ahead of the game.
Good to know.
And they have an non-profit arm that works across the globe. I mean, when I went to the non-profit leader summit with Microsoft last year in Seattle, they had people from all over the world, non-profits. They have like World Economic Forum, they have you name it, and we had them, right? Just talking about how
That's
they're
good to
using.
know. I mean, because obviously we here like to work with partners, whether they are non-profit or industry. We partner with businesses. Part of Hive initiative is we work collaboratively. We actually work with GE Appliances and we work with Yum.
Yes.
We failed to work with Humana, but since these are your kind of companies you work, so we have actually still a contract that technically is still alive with Yum, and they are trying to continue work with us, and with GE Appliances we have a new contract. So yes, but we don't work with non-profits, although we worked with non-profits like that came to us to have events, but not on a technical level yet. So maybe we'll find a way that we can collaborate in helping, and because obviously you have a lot of very interesting initiatives there.
There are, and until I joined, as I mentioned earlier, right, I didn't realize how rewarding it is, right? And then it's like any other organization. And that's what I realized when I joined, that, hey, when you talk about digital transformation, the things that I did at Yum, at GE, at a startup, I'm looking at this as a small startup, right? Not small, it's a medium-sized startup, because the startup that I worked for had 35 people. Here, we have total employees around 1,500 or more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Keeps on increasing,
No,
so.
that's excellent. If you don't mind, I'll allow people to ask questions.
Absolutely.
So we can, Michael, yes, this is a legal question.
Only for you. Just a comment, when Dr. McGrawley was chair of the computer engineering department, the department won the Community Engagement Award for the university for the work of the computer engineering students with community organizations.
Okay.
Since he left, that's kind of died out, but what are other, so how would that integrate, or might in the future integrate with what you want to do? And how does your work do you collaborate with other organizations with adjacent client communities?
Yes, we do.
And how do y'all do that?
What he is referring to is our students went to some of the nonprofits, trained their clients, and worked with the computer centers to help their clients learn about different things. Even in one place, we installed for them Wi-Fi, and so that's what he's referring to.
So I think Goodwill, Kentucky is a larger organization. That's why we have our staff right now. So the IT department between my full-time employees and the partners, right, are vendors as well as managed service providers. It's a pretty robust organization, and we are building all of these resources within, right? But there are still areas, for example, we are partnering with other organizations for providing training, right? So that's where your role can come in.
Our digital
training.
transformation
And
Yes.
center.
Sharon would like us to note that the Digital Transformation Center here at U of L has partnered with delivering Train the Trainer at the Opportunity Center in West Louisville, and that Mark Coleman, your CFO, is a U of L Business School grad. So
Yes, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we have Spot, right? One thing I didn't mention was that is for the young adults. We have programs for kids who are younger. I think this is over 16 Spot. So we work with them between 16 to 24,
Yeah.
right? So providing them training, I think that's where.
So we have
We
a
can
lot
partner.
of training material, part of the Digital Transformation Center, for train the trainers and actually for training people, which is a potential opportunity to extend some of the efforts of U of L with you, but we can talk about this
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
separately.
can.
Yeah, I mean, and these are kind of low-hanging fruit, which would be good for us to try to look.
And high impact, right? The impact of
Yeah.
that is huge.
And we care about other questions.
Yes.
Brian, yes.
You're, I'm impressed with your success and this Goodwill, and it's been around a long time. What is the, and there's no shortage of potential clients, right? I could say. What is the? I'm just thinking about scalability. Like, what is the resource or service, or what keeps you from scaling to a larger global size? I mean, why not take your story full circle and open a Goodwill in India?
So that's something that we are doing. So like any other organization, right? It's a friend. So
Like
we
a
have
franchise.
GII, right? So I know we are working with Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, for example, and Amy, our CEO, she and our Chief Operations Officer, I think they are going to India in March to kind of understand. But knowing India, right? And this is something I was talking to Amy after my last visit in October when I came back. And now that I have a different lens of looking at things, right? Talking about 1 billion people. And in India, when I look at donation goods, so we had an unfortunate event in our family where we lost someone and then we had to donate all of the stuff. So what we did was we just worked with one of the local organizations to take all of the donation, right? So they have, it's a very sustainable culture, and each country is very different and very nuanced. So getting in there, yes, absolutely, we can start. So we have one in Canada, I think in South Korea too. They have opened Goodwill.
So it's
But that's part of Goodwill International.
Yes, but it's excessive materialism is what feeds it.
here.
We could say that, right? When I look at, if you go and open your wardrobe too, right? A
Sure.
lot of times we just buy things because they're new,
But yeah,
right? So how do you, so the good thing, it feeds it, right? But when you look at, so let's talk about sustainability. How Goodwill is helping the planet being more sustainable. And I should have my numbers, but I don't the exact numbers, but we have kept like millions of pounds from going into the landfills because of this second hand marketplace, right? Where you can go and buy things. And I think that's like my kids, it might not have been the case with my generation because we grew up a little bit differently back in India, but all of our kids, the second generation, they are more comfortable in going and identifying stuff. They're like, why go buy new? Because they are used and this is more sustainable. I think the new generation is more aware about sustainability and how to save the planet, right? When you look at how much is going into the landfills and how much Goodwill is keeping things from going into landfills.
And I think actually related to that, the other day I was dreaming, why aren't there training center for repair of clothing, repair of furniture? These are areas that if you spread the training across the society, you will have more sustainability.
Yes.
You don't need AI for it, unfortunately. It really needs humans to do it. I wish AI could do it, but I think for sustainability issue, there is lack of humans like me, or maybe I don't know who else. I know how to sew a little bit, who know how to sew or fix simple broken things. And these are the type of sustainability issues that are in this society. It's cheaper to buy a new thing
It's exactly that.
than to find someone who fix it, because there is no training in this area.
And also the number of people too, right? When you talk about an economy like India or China that has billions of people, this is how people earn their living.
Yes.
For us, when we were growing up, we can go to a tailor who was by the end of the road, pay him 10 rupees, for example, not $10, to get something fixed, right? But that is not the case here because how expensive labor is.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So a lot of times that is a barrier, right? But there are cultural differences too, right? And again, when you're talking about billions of people earn living using all of these things. And even at Goodwill, we tried maybe mending things, but it's tough, right? When you have to hire people, take care of them, a lot of times it becomes an unsustainable thing.
But the sustainable will be as a service for people to come and use it.
Yes, but we do have bikes, so people can donate bikes, and we have on the West Broadway, there is a bike repair shop where people fix the bikes and even cars. I don't know if we still have the cars program, but there is a shop where people could get.
But the
I
repairs would be
think
one.
Brian, with sustainability, we may have a whole series on
That's right.
sustainability.
Fast fashion.
Yeah,
Fast-
huh?
It's a real thing.
Yeah,
Fast fashion is a real
That's
thing.
another problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a question? Oh, there is, okay, one here, and we'll stop after that. Yeah,
Well, you seem to be facing the issue, given you're out to help people, you have to decide, are you going wide or are you going deep? I mean, there's enough people in the United States or Kentucky to help them with this and this and this and this, or do you broaden? So how would you state your mission that helps you decide if you want to go broader or deeper? It's to what? Help as many
Reduce-
people as you can.
So our mission is to reduce poverty in Kentucky.
I'm sorry.
reduce
Poverty in Kentucky.
Oh, poverty.
So
Okay.
so that's what our goal is, that hey, we don't have a date, but our mission will be accomplished
Reducing
when there is
poverty.
nobody.
Okay, well,
and-
that scopes it.
Yes.
Because they are
And
the
they're
Kentucky,
manageable.
yes.
So that people are able to earn
Still
money
huge.
and they're able to sustain their lives.
And as part of Goodwill International, you all have this, or do you have autonomy to have a
Yes,
slightly
so
different?
each Goodwill decides what the, because if you go from state to state or even region to
Yeah, Southern
region,
Indiana is a completely separate.
exactly.
He lives in
even
southern
if,
Indiana.
so if you go to
Just
eastern
listening.
Kentucky or southern Indiana, right across, right?
Yeah.
Indiana has a different set of services that they provide. For example, we have an Excel Center,
Okay.
which is where people can go, adults can go and finish their high school diplomas. So we have a school where I know there are some teachers from Manual who retired and joined Excel Center to provide the training. We have a YMCA there so that parents can keep their kids and go to school and get that high school diploma.
And that reduces poverty.
Yes.
That does, because the more you
Yeah.
train people, the training, it all helps reduce poverty in the end.
We have one question from Alejandro there.
Yes.
I see that you have a digital store, right?
A digital store.
Digital store.
Online.
We
Online.
do, so Goodwill, lot of Goodwills have stores. So Goodwill Kentucky, we just sell jewelry online,
Huh?
but there are other Goodwills that store clothing and everything. So there is a Goodwill store. If you go to goodwill.org and there's Shop Goodwill, I think, is the name of the store where you can go and buy things. And we sell art.
All
And
right.
actually, people can bid on the art. So there is
Wow.
a new process that
Oh, I
we
wanna
started
do
from
that. I
last
love
year.
Piece
art.
for you.
Original pieces. So there you go. You
He
can
has an
Another
art
question.
piece he wants to
Yeah,
donate.
you have a question here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last one.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi,
My name's
doing good.
Mohammed. So I have a question. You had mentioned earlier about helping clients with dentist appointments and other appointments. How does your organization assist with healthcare access and equity to?
So yeah, that's a good question, right? And I don't think I'm qualified
It's not,
to answer that.
It's a
but
good beyond goodwill.
So we are helping them navigate these things, right? So we work with, so Goodwill very closely works with our Senate, our local, right? So our legislators to kind of help with the different policies, right? So we have a policy arm that can translate, understand what barriers our constituents are facing, and work with the legislators so that we can help them kind of come up with solutions that will help Kentuckians, right, in the end. And then even there are times when our team has gone to Washington, D.C. to kind of influence and talk about what we do, how important our work is, and things like that. So the particular program that I was talking about, the Smiles, it's called a Good Smiles program. And I think it has very limited, and we actually partner with UofL Dental Health.
I'm familiar.
Dental
They
school.
work in the particularly the West End a lot.
Yes,
the
we
dental
have
school,
10
because I have interacted with them
Yes.
over.
10-bed
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
dental
Yeah,
dental whatever appointment
Yes,
center
yeah,
there
yeah.
that they come and
So I think we will stop here.
but I'm here if you have
But
any questions.
we'll have lunch and chai, and we'll continue to have an informal interaction. And I'm so thankful because you enlightened us beyond the AI. And that's the whole idea. Is AI is a tool. It doesn't replace the need for humanity and the need for our social mission and our need to interact as humans together. The other day, someone was telling me maybe AI will have, all the agents will have their own Facebook and their own Instagram to talk to each other. But at least we are here together, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. This was